Hello everyone, Miss Carrie here. Today I'm going to share a few layering techniques that you can use on your scrapbook pages and share how I created this design with dies, rub-on transfers, and stickers. I can't wait to share this project with you. I'm focusing on the pattern papers and cardstock in the March Hip Kit. Each month, a coordinating cardstock pack is available, and it always matches the patterns perfectly. In the March collection, the cardstock has a lovely stitched floral pattern on the back and a linen print on the front. The cardstock is a white core cardstock, which allows you to add some distressing or tearing and have a white edge show through. As you can see, these coordinate beautifully with the exclusive pattern papers from Hip Kit. I like how I don't have to go search for a perfect matching cardstock because it's all been provided for me. On today's page, I'll be using both the cardstock and pattern papers along with a few other items from the March collection. I'll add a list of supplies in the description below along with the link to this kit. I have selected a lovely pink print for my background, and I want to bring in this black and white floral and place it diagonally across the page. Due to the mathematics of the whole thing, it's not going to be long enough, so I have to get a little creative here. I'm going to cut this piece into two and hide the gap behind the photos. Once I've determined their placement, I can trim this down and make the cut where the photos are going to sit. I will also be placing a smaller piece of blue pattern paper above it, and I'll need to cut that into two pieces also. The photos have been backed in white cardstock, and I'm adding some black around the edges with an ink pad. This is a fun way to add color to your photo frame and bring in a distressed look. I adhered these photos together, laid them onto the pattern paper, and I marked where the cut needed to be located. As I place the two pattern pieces down, I'm using a ruler to help me get the edges straight. Once the photos are in place, that gap is going to be hidden, and I'll have a cute diagonal design on my page background. Before I add any additional paper or cardstock to the page, I want to bring in a few rub-on designs. This page is going to have quite a few layers on it, and these butterflies are going to be one of the lower layers. I have cut apart my transfers and I'm placing them on the right side of the page so that they sit above and below the photos. As I transfer them to the paper, I'm going to create visual triangles of color with the butterflies and flowers and layer some of the designs over others. At the base of the page, I've added a layer of purple florals, and I'm going to place a green butterfly over the top. This just creates some nice dimension on the page without actually adding any dimension. As I continue to add these transfers to the layout, I would love it if you tap that subscribe button and let me know that you're new here. If you're already a subscriber, let me know that you're enjoying this video by tapping the thumbs up or leaving a comment below. Now that the first layer of the rub-on transfers are in place, I'm going to bring in some cardstock circles as a border. To keep them in a nice straight even line, I drew a line with a pencil on my background paper, and then I adhered those pieces in place. I selected 3 colors for my circles to match the colors of the butterflies I added. Each of those circles overlaps slightly to create some dimension, and they each have some stitching detail to add texture. At the end of the border, I wanted to make sure that I had a full circle, so I laid that last circle in place, and then I adhered a little filler piece that's going to be hidden behind the photo. Once those photos are in place, you're not even going to know that this didn't create a perfectly even border. Off camera, I attached the 2 blue paper strips in place and I added some stitching with my sewing machine. For my journaling, I'm using this little envelope with a tag tucked inside, and I'm going to place it underneath one of the photos. Above and below this envelope, I'm going to layer some leaves and florals. I cut the leaves and twigs from pattern paper and cardstock, and then I added a large yellow flower sticker above that journal tag. In addition to the leaves and flower, I added a cute little sticker that says "Fabulous." I love how this has a printed staple on it so that it looks like I've added another element to my page. Now I want to bring in some more layers with rub-on transfers. At the top of the page, I'm going to layer a title over the previously added transfers. The butterfly layers underneath are going to create some more dimension to the page, and they're going to peek out from under the floral layers that are attached to the title. Whenever I add larger rub-on transfer pieces, I like to hold them in place with some repositionable tape. This keeps them from shifting while I'm adding them to the page, and it works almost like a little hinge so that I can lift that transfer sheet and make sure that everything has been adhered to the page. I'm also going to add more yellow to my layout with some florals above the photo. I have some yellow in the border and in that large flower, and I want to bring another element to this page in that color. Over the top of these flowers, I'm going to add another butterfly in blue. This creates a visual triangle with the other blue items I've added and adds a nice pop of color up here. The butterfly also attaches those florals to the title, so it creates a complete design. Underneath that rub-on title, I'm going to add an additional layer to it with a sticker below the title. This sticker says "Beautiful Things," and it has this lovely pink and yellow ombre across it. I'm going to bring in more florals with a little tab above the photo. This pink flower mimics the shape of the larger floral, and the colors are similar to the colors of the sticker below the title. I'm also going to add some butterfly stickers to the page and pop them up on some foam tape. I'm choosing colors that match other images on the page, and I like how the butterflies have black details which match the lettering in the title and the black ink that I added around the photos. To extend the vertical length of the photos, I'm going to add a little black tab at the top and add a yellow flag at the base. The yellow flag is similar to the color of the florals above, which extends the vertical line behind the photos. The last item I want to bring to this page is some stamping. On the black and white floral pattern, there is one area that is printed with pink ink blotches. I want to replicate this with a stamp from the color kit. I'm not very confident when it comes to adding splatters to my pages, so it's nice to have a stamp like this in my collection. The ink I chose is called It's a Girl, and it is a little darker than the color that's printed on my paper, so I'm adding the images with second generation stamping. Each time after I ink up the stamp, I remove a layer of ink by stamping it onto the paper, and then I stamp the image onto the page. This creates a less saturated color that matches the design I'm trying to replicate. I'm going to finish stamping these images, add a few more items to my page, and then I'll share the completed layout with you. Off camera, I added another little cardstock frame around the photos to help them stand out a little bit more. I also attached an eyelet to my tag and threaded some twine through for texture. I hope that you enjoyed today's project and all the lovely layers I added. Today's techniques included a few ways that you can use cardstock and rub-on transfers to create layers on your scrapbook pages. I chose items from the March kit and cardstock collection to create a unique design filled with colors, patterns, and sweet spring images. The border design is an easy one to create and a fun way to use cardstock and dies in your collection. If you're one who likes to pin photos to inspiration boards, I have added still shots of this layout in the Hip Kit Club Facebook group and on my website for you to use. I hope that today's project inspired you to try something new and give some of these techniques a try. I want to thank you for joining me for another scrapbook project. If you would like to see more of my creations, you can visit my channel or follow Miss Carrie's Creations online. If you have any questions about this project or the supplies listed below, feel free to leave me a comment. I hope that you have a wonderful week, and I can't wait to see what you create.